Hybrid Fitness Report is sponsored by Wadleet, a UK-based sports apparel company. Wadleet's designs come from a love of functional fitness, helping you to build strength, mobility, stability and endurance while staying comfortable in what you wear. So from performance base layers to changing robes, from gym shorts to hoodies, and training socks to track jackets, Wadleet have got you covered. Head to wadleet.co.uk, that's WODLETE.co.uk, with free delivery on all UK orders over £50 and worldwide shipping available.
Welcome to episode 34 of Hybrid Fitness Report. In our background here, the national anthem going on as part of one of the many medal ceremonies outside the Strawberry Arena in Stockholm. We've been here for the World Championships of Hyrox for the last 3 days. We're having a short episode today because I am here with Jude, the new under-24 men's pro world champion. So we're going to have a chat about his race, his singles race, and then later in the week, a broader review of some of the bigger narratives coming out of this year's Worlds, which has been an amazing experience in what is now quite a hot Stockholm. So a new PB by 36 seconds, a win by a minute. How was it? If that's not too dumb a question, how was that?
Yeah, well, going into it, the taper went well, the training went well, nutrition went well, and I just felt great. But that didn't make me too confident because last year I said it's a good thing, 22nd or something like that.
Plus, you weren't the favourite this time coming in, and there were several guys. We were talking about it, obviously, endlessly beforehand. There were, you could legit have had a pretty good race within shout for your PV and come fifth or sixth, but there was no presumption of podium, right, and a chance of a win.
Yeah, it was more should come top 5 in paper, good podium, and there's a very good chance that I
right.
If I had,
And your strategy going in was the same as always, right?
Yeah, it took a lot to remind myself to run my own race and then keep my strengths. If you got too hot, my strength being the back end of the race, which most people know by now. If you obviously have followed me for a little bit. And so if going out too hot will hurt me more than most. I'm not the quickest runner, and the back half is my best. So if I run out of gas before the back half, if it runs too quickly, that's what's going to sap me more than anything. So,
and was that harder in the tunnel to keep from some of the controlled breathing mindset?
Weirdly, I was so okay with both races.
You were giving it a lot of this.
Yeah.
Down, looking loose. A couple of guys next to you with mega serious faces and all that. You know what's better, but
I don't know what happened. In the start tunnel, for the first time in the start tunnel, I was smiling the whole time.
Right.
Round the running course, in the start tunnel, out the start tunnel, just the whole time. The event, I think, was just so surreal to me. And to be able to feel how I did during and before the race was awesome. So, yeah, did end up winning, followed the race plan, went out quite measured, came into the ski
26th. Which was great. So, big thank you to Rachel, who's behind the camera today. And so we were watching on from the running bridge, and it was great for us taking pictures because you were right at the back of the first row, which meant you were nicely framed in the skier side.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, I'll go for the videographers. The videographer that, so thank you, Sophie, for the content on our solos race, is that she was on the far end and I came in at the near end. So mum and dad had a great view. Videographer had an awful view. So that's where I expected to come. I was thinking more 15th to 20th, so 26th. I didn't know I was 26th, so it wasn't a big deal at the time. Everyone else seemed to have known. I had no idea. So 15th to 20th is where I was coming. So I'm never worried where I come into the skiing. Typically, the further back I am, the more hopeful I get because I know that more people have sort of screwed themselves for later on in the race. So that didn't worry me too much.
And that was another thing I think we were thinking about. This being the World Championships isn't a quote normal race. Guys are going to aim for a solid top 10 finish, whereas there were probably 6 to 8 guys who will win or bust, and some of those were running focused win or bust. They knew they had to go out like blazes and try and hold on and risk a load more than they would usually. So I think you being further down was massively predictable in that way.
Yeah, but that's why I think visualizing helps. So for the whole year, every day, as long as I can remember, it's replaying different scenarios in order to my head. So that if it happens on race day, I'm not taken by surprise. So I've pictured myself coming in 30th, 10th, 15th, 5th into the ski erg and finishing in all those positions. So that if it happens on the day, for me, it's a lot easier to cope with because I've been through it before, even if only mentally.
And you were staring at the course map for 2.5 hours for playing. So it was a lot of visualizing.
There was a lot of visualizing. That's where I did most of the year's visualizing on the plane right over here. So, Yeah, it's just a huge focal point of this year, and to be able to come away with the result that I did. But I mean, if we're talking through the race, the run after the ski was fairly standard. Usually for me, the first station being the ski erg helps because, like the row, you can see exactly how quick you're going. It's a very objective piece of kit and a very objective station. You know exactly how quick you're going. You know your exact cadence, you know your exact pace, and you obviously can feel your RPE. The thing that's a bit subjective is your RPE. So adrenaline being loaded at the front half of the race, you don't quite know how hard you're exerting yourself. But the amount that I've trained at a very specific pace for a very specific time, I know exactly how much of a toll it's taken on my body. If I just keep the number from, in my case, 145 to 146 on the ski, I know exactly how hard I'll be. So I know coming off the ski how I feel. I felt fine. The running felt really smooth, both on Friday and Saturday. We'll get to Saturday's race in a bit, but yeah, Friday's solos race, the running felt really smooth. Going into the push,
We came to push about, was it fifth or sixth?
was I that high?
I think you're about sixth.
I was genuine. I really think 10th. I think fifth was the pull.
Okay.
So I came, I'd say the top 10, like maybe 10th into the push. So I made up
You made about 60, 6, 8 paces on the ski, a few more on the run. So
Yeah. So the adrenaline at about after the push is going off. So I'm picking people off from the skier for the start of the race, really, which is cool. So into the sled about 10th, and for the first race at about maybe 3 or 4 in a row, I've gotten a fair sled. Like it felt heavy, but it felt like it should. Like
and just to put a bookmark in that in terms of what was a complete nightmare for hundreds of people in Chicago World Championships last year. With that sled's fine, that one's sticky, that one's on ice, that one's in mud. This year, it seems I haven't seen any complaints about the sleds. I mean, there have been some issues as there's going to be with 7,000 competitors, but it does seem to have been a very fair sled experience for almost everyone.
Yeah, so been the hottest topic of contention a year ago to now have not even, been mentioned is kudos to Hyrox. So they definitely took on some feedback on in that respect.
You were studying the sled push.
Yeah. So sled push was fine. That was around a 230, 232. Definitely a station that I think I do need to do a bit of work on. I'm a heavier athlete. I can definitely go quicker. I'm quite measured there because, again, that's sort of playing into the save it for the second half. But that's something that I really want to focus on, being able to be quicker and still be quicker on the second half of this sled. Because anything with weight on it, I need to be pushing quicker than those items. So definitely a station to work on. Rock zone, after the sled push, I always feel it. So shuffling out the rock zone after the push is always something that I sort of suffer with. But then the runs are fine. So the runs are fine. I just need that maybe 10 to 20 seconds to sort of clear that lactate quickly, short steps, and then I'm sort of into the rhythm again. Sled pull.
That's when you came in fifth or sixth.
Yeah.
And I was noticing, I think most of your races, because you've trained very hard to adopt what I refer to as the wrong thing technique, with the old archer thing, which looks very cool, especially in photos.
Yeah.
The shadows on the muscles look really good for that. But before, I was like, Jude's got this technique that's quite different to most people. Looking at World Championship racing, actually, most people are doing that now. So, it's kind of obvious. Like, some people, well, your age group are
Some drop easy, some hold on to it,
but a lot of archer technique.
Yeah. But yeah, the pull was, as always,
Big one is always the same.
Will I always make a good move on it if the sleds are fair, which they seem to be this year. So I think I must have made 4 or 5 spots in the pull, which was really good because the closer obviously you get up in the field, the harder it is to take spots away from people.
And that's what we saw the first top, like pure runners really struggle. And so you were then left with, there was Jack up there. So Sam Schumann's in the lead at this point. Jack is up there.
Harvey is up there.
Mark is up there. You're up there. And that is behind. There was kind of a clear top 5 or 6 of that.
Yeah, definitely. Clear top 5, top 6, and definitely had a really good pull. I think I was just over 3 minutes into the pull, which if it's not a sled that feels like it's on glass, that's too nice for me. So I always try and get under 3. If not a little bit over on a tough sled, it's fine. And it wasn't particularly tough. It just seemed like a normal sled. So there's nothing really to complain about on that front at all. Run after.
But just to say, I think, because me and your mum have obviously been incredibly nervous about this for a long time, but my main point of nerves is the sled push. And so the big thing with Jude's sled push is he has an 8-second, when he breaks, it's for 8 seconds. And in Barcelona, I was watching, he had a very, very measured break, but they were all 12 seconds. On Friday, I'm going, this is me 1, this is 2. And when I saw him move on at 8, I could have jumped for joy. I'm like, it's fine, the sled's fine. Someone else might have slightly better one, but it's fine.
Inside, that's what I was finding as well. Being able to know that I could push after 8, I was like, okay, so this is like I've gone down to that sort of quite precise metric in my head. So I knew from there that I was going to be okay on the sleds if anything like it.
Right. Sorry. So jumping back to where we were then, so a decent run after the pull as well.
Yeah.
And then into the last station before, in quotes, the race begins.
Yeah.
BBJs.
Yeah. So burpees are what I always fear about going into, but what I didn't account for with all the visualizing that I've done through my head is coming into burpees third. So at no point during this entire year did I picture that being the case, was coming in third. So much so that I saw Sam Schumann 20 meters into the burpees out of 80, and I thought that there must have been like 5 or 6 people that have gone all the way through the 80 and left by the time I got in. That's how sure I was that I couldn't be in third during the burpees. It was just Jack and Sam ahead of me. And I didn't get overtaken, which is also weird. So I managed to go all throughout the burpees, not having been overtaken once, which is a huge win. I think I tied my best time of 2:41, which I somehow did in much slower, but not that. But the burpees felt smooth, didn't feel quick, didn't feel slow, fairly standard, and I managed to come into them quickly and get out of them relatively quickly and not too phased. So very happy with that. Definitely something I need to bring down. Burpees, running as always, and push are my 3 focuses going into next season, as the running and burpees were this season. They've improved just as much so.
For parts, running. There.
Burpees instead. Yeah. But yeah, happy with how they went yesterday. The run after recovered quicker than I thought as well.
And the run after, so bearing in mind, Jude's runs 2 through 7 were all within 2 seconds of each other. So there was a completely. So whatever Jude says about how each run went, none of them was more than a second.
Yeah.
A different better one, which is incredible pacing.
But I think that's
Is that the RPE pace, or do you sense the actual pace? Or are you following someone?
it's quite both.
Coincidentally.
It's a bit of both. Like, I think the difference between my training and a lot of other people's is you hear a lot of people running at 315s, 320s, which not even Luke Greer does in the Elite 15. So I think the fact that I'm just so metronomic with how I do my threshold running, and how Chris programs it, is just I rarely run outside of a very incremental increase in paces. So I've started the year doing my threshold runs at 348. And within a year, I've gotten it to 338. And every single second is measured very precisely. So you never make a 10-second jump to threshold paces, ever. It's always if I feel very comfortable at this pace, the next week I'm then going to take it up 1 second per kilometer. It's very incremental, and you get very used to running at the exact same pace under fatigue, fresh, and extremely tired.
So you get it into muscle memory.
Yeah, and I think there's no other reason in which would play a bigger part, I can imagine, than just being incredibly consistent with the threshold-based training and only taking it up by 1 second per kilometer if my heart rate is at a certain place and if my RP is at a certain place. In a couple of months, actually, I'm going down to Loughborough with one of my friends to get that tested for the first time. So excited to see how that goes. What it biologically is.
So in the rowing stations where you and Sam basically left the field at that point. So everyone else is at 10, 15 seconds. So Sam had a little lead on you, about 5 seconds, I think, going into the row.
Yeah.
And I got some footage of you coming into the row. Sam's got going good before you turn up, but then there's quite a gap to everyone else. So at that point, I think everyone knew that barring a collapse in one of your 2 parts, it was going to be between you and him. And that for you is always, it's not really a race, is it? Here's my pace, and it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. I'm just going to do 145.
Yeah. So if I feel good at that point, I know 145 is set. Sometimes it drifts up to 146, but it's mainly at 145. I know if I'm holding 145 with a threshold RP, let's say 7 to 8.5, then I'll be in a good place. If I'm having to really work 145, I know I'm going to fade off a little bit. But I was good at 145. Came out of the row ahead of Sam actually, so I think that was a huge confidence boost as well, knowing seeing him up at 149, which is still a good pace, but I had a little bit of an advantage being a rower in the past. So I've got a bit of background in that, so I know I can always make enough time there on most people. So I did. I made up maybe 6 to 7 seconds on the row, so I was happy with that. Came out.
So he's right behind you.
But right behind now.
Yeah.
So came out, led the first lap. He then took on the second lap into Farmers, where I then took him. Another part of it that felt surreal, because I mean that was again me in the lead by station 6, which under no part of me before, during, or after he believed that to be the case. Like if I was ever going to win, it was always going to be last minute on the ball in my head. Every single visualization, I can't tell you how many times I picked up the race, and again that was in none of them.
At which point our warriors were, look, you know where to go in now. He's not following anymore. Back end racer suddenly has to leave from the front. Oh, wow.
I've never done that in any race I've ever done. So to do it here was kind of cool. So left the farmers in first. I must have made up maybe 10 seconds on Sam for farmers, something like that. I got score on second place. Left the farmers, and I always normally, if I'm feeling good or normal, I normally always have a second win after the farmers, because for me it's not too taxing. Again, being a heavy output, that's one of the advantages I have over, those are better aerobics, for example. If I'm carrying 64 kilos in my hand, it's going to be less taxing. Someone who weighs 80 kilos, obviously, it's massive mass essentially. So that's a good second win. Yeah, I always normally know that if I can hustle a little bit on the farmers, I'll feel good going out.
And you were visibly comfortable regional. Usually you're walking.
That was
you're clearly running.
Yeah, that was purposeful. A lot of Chris's programming had me focus on move quickly in brackets.
Actually running on farmers.
Yeah, during the farmers. I spent the past 4 or 5 weeks. That was an emphasis. Even during my zone 2 stuff, for example, I do 90-minute AMRAPs, 8-minute stair stepper, 200-meter farmers, and every 200-meter farmers was like zone 4 F. So like RPE 8 or 9, and then pull back down stuff. So everything was moving really quickly, and I'd usually use overweight as well.
So the lunges, you're in the lead at the lunges.
Yeah, in the lead of the lunges, and it was, I think, my quickest ever lunges. I don't think, it might be. I think it was around one of my quicker lunges at around 235, 236. They say James Kelly's one of the best posers in Hyrox right now, as of the lunge to the wall balls, and I think he does it he's done it, I think, before in under 6 minutes. I think that's the threshold of being like some of the best in the world. And I'm getting there. I think in this race, lunge to wall ball is always 6:02.
So when Jude says doing it in under 6 minutes, it's a combination of the lunge station and the balls.
100-meter lunges with 30 kilos and 100 wall balls with 9 kilos. Added together in under 6 minutes.
Did lunges with 6 minutes.
Yeah. And so that was sort of that. Sub 6 wasn't a goal for me, but those two need to be as quick as possible. And the lunges didn't feel that quick, so I'm happy that they turned out to be a 2:36 or so. Lunges something I can get a little bit more time on, but it's not something I'm really disappointed with. One of the good stations for me, I got told on like rep 2 or 3 about hip extensions, so they slowed down a little bit after that, similar with doubles. But yeah, lunges went well. Held the lead coming out the lunges and made a bit of time. So a bit of time on second place, stretched the gap a little bit because I noticed the gap when it came into wall balls. So the run after lunges was I think a little bit slower. I think it was my slowest run of the day.
It was.
But
5 seconds.
it's number 1, I'm 50 minutes into a race. Number 2, I don't try and push it because with wall balls, the reason I so consistently unbroken, I think, is because I am able to grow my heart rate by a few beats per minute going into them, which is a combination of a slightly slower run and a few walking paces as I approach the wall ball itself.
And the benefit you had going into that is in a pure man against man race versus time trial. You weren't aiming for a time if you offered an R. It was when you weren't. There was another wave.
Foreshadow doubles.
There was another wave, but the way you figured it is like the best guys, the guy most likely to win, to beat you, Sam Shoop.
Yeah.
So with him behind you weren't going, oh, what about next wave? I must redline everything. You go, I need to get into wall balls in shape to stay up to Sam.
Yeah.
I came in 12 ahead.
Yeah, I came in 12 reps ahead of him. I had no idea what the gap was until he came in. And so my tactic was recover on all my reps in the wall balls until he gets in. When he gets in and starts going, matches cadence. Because whatever gap I have, I think I back myself to hold against anyone. So if I could sort of recover by going a little bit slower on the reps up till he comes in, then, like I said, whatever he does, just try and match his speed. So
at that point, he's been desperately trying to catch up because he knows he's got a long time to catch up.
And that's how I can break him. If I can, whoever the second place is at the time, Sam, anyone, it's just if I can have that lead, and I know my cadence is good enough to hold against most people. So, 12 ahead, hold it, and I think he closed it to 10 because I wasn't too worried about the gap. And when it got to 10 or 9, I did. I don't remember where they were.
There was one. They were both on the target.
Yeah. And that was just misjudgment. Just a little bit. But what wasn't good? It was another one unbroken. I think 6th or 7th pro solo unbroken in a row. So those are still a really good station for me. I think if I'm going to improve that, it's going to be on doing it with my heart rate a little bit higher. So it might be in training, not practicing exactly how I'm going to do it in the race, but use training as sort of if I'm going into the wobbles at super high heart rate, how am I going to deal with it? So just decreasing my walk paces between the run into the wall balls. I think that's how I'm going to make up time. It'll be very incremental.
So essentially, what one of the next stages in getting better is, what if you need to really push run 7?
Yeah.
So as you said, like the other day, you're able to pull it back a tiny bit on run 7 in order to go for the wall ball, whereas you might have to be pushing that to push up.
Yeah. So that's where I make it up there. But what wasn't well, I came 8th overall doing the number of. So that I think that's the difference, is just people picking up the ball quicker. So that would be the end of that. And then crossing the line a minute ahead of second in the end, which winning the World Championship title by a minute was wild. Yeah. I mean, I can't. Yeah. I posted on Instagram enough by now. I don't know how to describe the feeling. It was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, things something that you dream of your whole life, and being able for it to happen to you for me is just the craziest thing. You never think it'll be you or something, but I never thought it would be, and it was, and it makes everything work. So yeah, awesome.
So thanks for listening to this kind of on the spot before we have to get to somewhere else, episode 34. In the next episode, we'll talk more in depth about the doubles with Michael O'Donnell, and also a review of the event as a whole, which is still going on, still stuff going on in Fan Village behind us, in the medal ceremony area, and we'll keep you all up with that in the next episode. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you, Reynolds.
I've been Pete Reynolds.
See you next time.